This is this story happened actually. Happened in 1976. I was 25 years old. AC/DC had just released Who Made Who. The Fly had done nothing for anybody's movie career. And MTV was still known as music television back in those days. I was broke. I was looking for work. I had nothing. It was December. I had no skills. I had pretty well dropped out of high school at that point, 25 years old, so at least 10 times, which is not a record as far as I've heard, and that is just sad. But you have to understand, at that point my life pretty well revolved around, smoking pot. I'm going to be honest. It's hard to believe, yes, but that's what I did. I woke up. I can't say that I invented the term wake and bake, but I can say that I pretty well embodied its spirit, is who I was at that point. And I needed money. Now, I did try. I will admit that I did try. I went from store to store without a resume, and that is probably good because at that point my resume would have said, a lot of, short order cook, courier, received unemployment benefits, which is probably not the best thing to put on a resume. And I also have always been a little bit of a smartass, unfortunately. Yeah, no, hard to believe, Sandra, I know. So that, when I handed you the job application form, I would always put in things, they would never say gender in those days, they would say sex, and I would always put not at the office. They would even have the place where it said, do not write above this line, and I would say, okay. And I always wondered why I didn't get a call back for an interview. A friend of mine had a friend who had a cousin who had an acquaintance who was looking for somebody to be Santa Claus at a shopping mall. And apparently the criterion for that job they were looking for at that point was a pulse. Because they hired me. I needed a job so badly. And I was happy, because how hard could this be? Okay, you get to the mall, you put on the Santa suit, you become Santa Man. You go out there, all the kids love you, and then you're done for the day, and you get paid money for this. So I said, cool, I will do this. I will be the Promenade Mall shopping Santa. Now, a little note here. The Promenade Mall is probably the most Jewish mall in the city, next to Yorkdale. The only way to make the Promenade more Jewish would be to circumcise it. And so, yes, the Promenade Jewish Mall had a Jewish Santa Claus serving their Santa needs. It was probably the best that happened that way. First day, I get to work, and I didn't even smoke up that morning because I was serious. I was going to do this. I was going to be Santa, and I got changed into my Santa suit, and I met my two elves and two young women there, and they changed into their little elvy things, and I changed into the Santa suit, and I went out and I grabbed my Santa sack, and it was showtime. It was 11 a.m. and walking out there, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, everybody, ho ho, and people were, yay, it's Santa, and I was a superstar. It was amazing. It was awesome. And I got to Santa's castle and I sat down, and I was ready for my first kid. And they don't warn you about the kids, is the problem. And I'm not talking about the beard tuggers, because that happened. There are always kids and they want to see Santa beard's real, so, and it never is, except when it is, but no, it wasn't fine. No, they didn't warn me about, the 2-month-old. And she was gorgeous. two-month-old little girl. What could go wrong? Holding her in my arms. And they don't warn you that 2-month-old children can make a smell. I thought gas warfare was against the Geneva Convention, but nobody had informed this 2-month-old. It was horrible, and but I had to sit there, and there was more. There were 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and there was this little boy who just elbowed me in the balls on purpose. It was, oh God. But you can't do anything because you're Santa, and I keep looking at the clock, the far end of the mall, because I know I've got to sit there for 3 hours as Santa. And this time goes by interminably. And finally, it's 2 o'clock, and I get to retire for lunch. And one of my elves, a sweet girl actually named Bobby, turns to me and said, "Santa, do you smoke pot?" Oh, God bless her. And we went out and we smoked 3 joints. We did, and it was good. I really don't remember a lot of the afternoon that followed, I'm going to be honest, but I do remember one little boy sitting on my knee saying, "I love you, Santa." And I turned to him and I said, "I love you." And he said, "I want a pony." And I said, "I also want a pony." And he said, "Oh, cool, so I can have a pony?" Now, I knew there was something wrong with saying yes. I did have enough about me to not say yes. So when I said, "What are you going to name your pony?" And he said, "I'm going to call him Jeffrey." I said, "Cool. Where are you going to keep Jeffrey?" He said, "In my room." I said, "Is there room for a pony in your room?" And he said, "Not really." I said, "Well, I can't really bring you something that you can't keep in your room, can I?" And he said, "Well, you're right, Santa." He said, "Tell you what, I will bring you something you love as much as Jeffrey." And he said, "You sure, Santa?" And I said, "I promise." And he said, "I love you." And I said, "I love you too, man." I lucked that one out. Well, every day in the morning, I smoked at least 2 joints in the afternoon, because I had to get through this thing somehow. And on December 24th, when I got paid, I was standing there waiting for the shopping mall people to come by. And they did, and they said, "We want to thank you very much. You know, you're the best Santa we ever had." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, you're the only one who never smelled of booze." And that's the winter I was Santa Claus. Thank you, everyone. I am Joel.